Orchestras are groups of people who come together to make music. It's great to play an instrument by yourself, but playing music in a group is something that's really magical. And it's something that we at Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestras love. And that's why we focus on orchestras. I would love to introduce one of our students today, Leslie. You guys know Leslie? Let's give Leslie a clap or a thumbs up, everybody. Leslie is one of our students in CYSO's Prep Strings Orchestra. She is a cello player, and Leslie is also a TPMS student. Leslie, I've got a question for you. Are you there?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's different playing by yourself versus playing in an orchestra?
The difference is like playing in an orchestra is you get to like work together and help each other to create like and know about more each other so you could create a bond, and then you could create music, and by playing alone I mean you enjoy it and it's amazing, but like the difference is just like in an orchestra you're in a group.
Yeah, you know what, Leslie? That was really well said. And I have a really good way to show everybody on the call exactly what you were talking about. Let's take a look at you playing by yourself. This is a clip of Leslie playing her orchestra piece just by herself. Sounds pretty good, right? I think Leslie sounds great. But when you put this clip together with the whole orchestra, it sounds so good and so different. Let's listen just for a couple minutes to the Prep Strings winter concert video and see if you can spot Leslie in this concert. Double play. Here we go. Wow, did you guys find Leslie on the screen? She's got that same blue background. Leslie, what a wonderful concert. What a great performance. And thank you for letting us show a clip of you playing by yourself versus the whole orchestra. I thought that was really cool. Can we get some clap reacts or something for Leslie? That was great. All right, you know, another one of our students at CYSO is Yeimi. Yeimi, are you there? Do we have Yeimi on the line? Well, while she's getting it set up, I think I'll tell you a little bit about Yeimi. Yeimi has been with us at CYSO for several years. She started in that same orchestra that you just saw called Prep Strings, but then she auditioned into the next level orchestra called Debut Orchestra. Yeimi, are you there? Can you answer a question for me?
Okay, sorry, it wasn't letting me unmute.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm here.
there
Hi.
you are. Was that Yeimi?
Yes, hi.
Hi. So I have a question for you, and it's this: can you tell us how did you get into that higher orchestra? How do you advance ensembles?
So when you want to advance orchestras, you have to audition. And it takes a lot of like practice because you need to prepare like a bunch of solo pieces, and you have to audition in front of a panel of judges from like each orchestra, and a camera that's recording you. It's pretty nerve wracking, but with like a lot of practice, like my private lesson teacher, Miss Jessica, was helping me a lot with my auditions, and it was very helpful. And during the audition, it was like very nerve wracking, but like once I was able to like when I got out of the room, it was just like a breath of fresh air, kind of.
Thank you for sharing. I've got another question for you. I wonder if you could speak a little bit closer to the microphone, just a little bit quiet. But hopefully it's obvious to everybody at this point, but could you just let us know, can you be in TPMS and CYSO at the same time?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and what's different about your two organizations? What does it look like to be a TPMS student and a CYSO student?
Well, when you're in TPMS, like I'm for the Albany Pride program, and you play with the people uh, from your orchestra, and CYSO is more like um, it's a bunch of people like all from over Chicago, and it's just all coming together to play music, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, thank you. All right. You know what? I would love to listen to you play a little bit in the debut orchestra. And let's, just like we were watching for Leslie, let's take a look and see if we can see Yeimi playing in this debut orchestra. You might notice there are more than just string players in this next orchestra. You're going to see wind players and brass players and percussion players. So why don't you keep an eye out for how many different people you can see play and see if you can spot Yeimi. Here we go. Another really cool performance. Yeimi, thanks so much for letting us share that debut orchestra clip. Now, the other person in Yeimi's square there is her brother, Jonathan. Hopefully you guys all know Jonathan because he's awesome and is a really good speaker. And Jonathan is in one of, well, actually it's not one of, in CYSO's top ensemble called Symphony Orchestra. He is a fantastic violin player, and he is going to tell you a little bit about what it's like to be in that prestigious top symphony orchestra. Having a little mute problem there. Jonathan, what's it like to be in symphony orchestra?
It's honestly a great experience. Obviously, I was a little bummed out that I finally reached this orchestra right during this year because obviously there's a pandemic going on. But honestly, every Sunday has been great going to rehearsals.
And I'm wondering maybe if you can come a little closer to the microphone too. I don't know if I'm the only person it seems a little soft for, but I'm also curious, besides playing a violin in a regular symphony orchestra, are there any other kinds of orchestras?
Yes, there's actually many orchestras that the CYSO offers as supplemental programs. There's the jazz ensemble, jazz orchestra, and there's the steel pan ensemble, which I am a part of. I've been a part of it this is my 7th year as a part of a member of the steel orchestra. And yeah, I've loved every second of it.
Awesome. And Jonathan, for the kids at home, what makes an orchestra?
An orchestra, like Ms. Karen mentioned earlier, it's just a group of musicians playing together as ensemble together, and just honestly having an orchestra and being in an orchestra is fun. So that's another core part of it.
Awesome. Well, I think we need to listen to this super cool steel pan orchestra. We'll hear a little bit more about what that is after we listen to it. So get ready to take a trip here with the CYSO Steel Orchestra. What a wonderful sound. I saw some people talking in the chat about how cool that sound of the steel pan is. We have Director of Steel Ensemble, Scott McConnell here. Scott, would you like to tell us a little bit about what we just saw and about steel pan at CYSO?
Of course, I'd love to talk about it. First off, thank you everybody for having us. I'm so excited to be here with all of you tonight and be able to share some of this with all of you. Over the last few years, I've been very lucky to actually come to People Music School in the summer and be able to teach some students at the summer camps about the steel pan as well. So hopefully we can do that again in the future. But for all of you that might not know, the steel pan or the steel orchestra is a different kind of orchestra. As we discussed, orchestras are ensembles of people. And for us in our steel orchestra, we also have similar sound. We have high through low voices. So with our steel orchestras, we have people who play our melody, we have our harmony and things like that. So I like to think about our steel orchestras almost like if you're maybe going to like let's think like a pop concert or something. We have a melody voice who's our main singer. When we have our backup singers, we have maybe our guitar players, our bass players, and then our drummers. And that's a full ensemble. You can relate that to orchestras too, as well, with violin, viola, cello, and bass. And so all those instruments together make up the full orchestra. And at CYSO, we actually have 4 different steel orchestras for students that go from 1st grade all the way through 12th grade. So as Jonathan mentioned earlier, he's been a part of our ensemble for he said 7 years now. And throughout those years, he's progressed through our different orchestras. And one thing that's different for the steel orchestra at CYSO is that because it's such a different instrument, we don't expect families to actually have their own instruments. We provide the instruments for students to practice on. So what's different for us, unlike the other orchestras where you go home and you practice on your primary instrument, with us, you actually come in on Saturday for our rehearsals. And part of rehearsal time is a practice time, personal practice time, as well as rehearsal time. We work together, and it's very community based in the sense we help each other out and really help build each other up, and we all learn together in that way. And we play so many different styles of music. As all of you, as I understand, are budding musicians beginning to learn your different instruments. And the steel pan is just like those instruments in that we read the same music. So it works as a great supplement to playing your primary instrument. You can actually play your orchestral music on your steel pan and your steel pan music on your orchestra instruments too. So it's one really great way to be able to help expand all of your musical skills at the same time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. McConnell. And Jonathan, I've got one more question for you just to make it very clear. Jonathan, can you be in orchestra and in steel orchestra at the same time at CYSO?
Yes, you absolutely can. CYSO makes it very easy for you to be in both at the same time. Thankfully, a lot of the programs are stretched out throughout Saturdays. So you can have your steel ensemble in the morning, depending on which ensemble you're in, obviously. But like they're really flexible with helping you fit everything in your schedule and make you even more well-rounded musician.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And you know, the other cool thing about Steel Pan at CYSO that I know Mr. McConnell said, but I want to say it again, you don't have to have any experience to join steel orchestra. You just have to love music and love steel pan, and that's an orchestra that you can join without knowing like a different type of orchestra instrument like a violin or a trombone. You can join steel pan right now, all you general music students on the call. I think we should listen to just another snippet of that sound because it's so cool. Do you guys want to hear steel pan again? Give me a thumbs up if you want to hear just a little more. Yeah, I think so. I like listening to it. We'll listen just a little bit. We've got Maestro Alan Tinkham here on the call. Maestro Tinkham leads our symphony orchestra, but he also is the music director at CYSO. And Maestro, I'm wondering if you can give all of the older students and adults on this call a little bit more background on CYSO's teaching philosophy. So I'm curious, what do students learn at CYSO and how do they learn it?
Thank you, Karen. And yeah, there's so much to know about orchestra music because orchestra music is so much. And those students who come and play in the symphony orchestra at CYSO rehearse every Sunday with me for 3 hours. Those students play 2 big concerts a year at Orchestra Hall, one in November, one in May. And we do another special event in between in February. That's our gala fundraiser. So these are some of our biggest concerts at CYSO. We play music from all time periods. We play, Mozart and Beethoven, as well as music that's being written right now. So it's music that you think of as classical music, but it's a lot of music that you might not necessarily think of as classical music. At the symphony orchestra, the music is very advanced and can be very difficult, but because we take many weeks to rehearse it and because there's opportunity to work with sectional coaches on that music. And of course, you have seating auditions before which we send everyone the parts that you'll need to learn. And that's when people start to practice them. Sometimes people take those parts to their private teachers or get special coachings with people to prepare for the audition, and it's boy, what else can I say about it? I mean, what can I add here, Karen?
Well, Meister, I think one of the coolest things about orchestra, and honestly, the thing that I love most about it, is all of those things that aren't necessarily musical skills that you learn through the group. Could you tell everybody a little bit about, I guess some people would call them soft skills, but I would call them more social emotional skills that we learn through orchestra?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of that. I mean, one of the most important things we learn through playing in orchestra is how to talk to other musicians about playing music. And this is something that can be very delicate, because we're all practicing and trying to do our best. And especially when we play chamber music, we have to talk a lot about what we're doing, and we have to agree on certain things. We have to agree how fast the piece is going to be. We have to agree on, are we playing, who's in tune? Are you sharp or am I flat? These are all things that we have to learn to agree on. So one of the most important things we do is we learn to talk about music with other musicians. And even though this is something that's very personal to ourselves, we learn to talk about it in a way that is constructive and supportive. Another thing we learn about through playing in orchestra is individual responsibility, because even though you play in the orchestra with all these other people, and especially when you play the violin and there are 38 other violin players there, it can feel like, well, there are a lot of people doing what I'm doing, but it's extremely important that every single person is really playing their part, because that's the only way the orchestra can do its best work. So we learn about individual responsibility. We learn about how to take notes during a rehearsal when the conductor says things, and we learn how to mark the parts so that we remember those things and we don't make the same mistakes over and over. There are so many skills we learn besides playing music from being in the orchestra.
Absolutely. You know what, Meister? I think I've got a video clip featuring another TPMS family that talks exactly about what you were just saying. Let's take a listen.
Being a part of CYSO has been a very important part of my children's lives. They are learning to make friends. They're learning to work really, really hard. Most importantly, they are learning what it means to be disciplined. That is going to be a lifelong skill for them.
In their school, they're one of the top kids in their orchestra. So they feel like, oh, I got this, right? They feel like, we're good at our instrument. But then they come here, they realize everyone is really good, so they have to work hard.
I can honestly say I've never worked as hard as I've seen my son work. He does it because he loves the people and the environment and the music. I never had access to something like this.
And the fact that every year they had these concerts playing some of these complex pieces, it was exciting for us. We learned so much and they were learning so much.
Our girls are twins and they really have two different personalities. They both enjoy music, but one is a little bit more outgoing than the other.
How could I mute?
Even though they're different, each one of them took advantage of the program in their own way.
Being in CYSO is being like in a family. They care about what happens to you after you leave, and they give a lot of help to their seniors and juniors that are looking to apply for colleges. Right now, I'm a student at the University of Illinois at Chicago. I am with their orchestra, their wind ensemble, and I actually have a job position with their wind ensemble as an operations manager. Being in CYSO has given me a sense of responsibility and helped me be a leader.
CYSO really helped open you up. You met so many people, you made a lot of friends that I feel like they're gonna be for a lifetime.
You have talent, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to use it to be a blessing to humanity, so don't give up.
I used to make you practice, now I don't even say anything to you. You seem to just do it all. And I think music is for life.
I'm so proud of you.
It's been really, really wonderful. It's given me great opportunities. I've met great people, and I'm able to do what I love. It's been a fantastic experience.
It makes me feel like a real musician. Well, I am a real musician, but it makes me feel like I'm a professional musician in a professional orchestra, and that's what I want to do one day.
I'm really thankful that I got this opportunity to be part of something much bigger than anything I could have ever dreamed of.
I'm so thankful for my friends and the challenging music.
CYSO's like really changed my perspective on music, and it's made a huge difference in my life.
If I can encourage somebody else to take a moment and think about the lives that they're impacting by donating any amount of money, I'm so on board on that.
Whoop, gonna play it again. So good, gotta play it twice. Well, Maestro, I think that really kind of encapsulated those things that you were saying about, yes, all of these great musical skills that students are learning at TPMS, also at CYSO, and then also all those other things that go along with playing in an orchestra. So I'd like to introduce Ms. Daniella Valdez. Ms. Valdez is our Director of String Ensembles at CYSO. And I think some of you probably remember her from some audition master classes that she's done and other work that she's done with TPMS. So Ms. Valdez, can you say hi?
Hi.
Great. Oh, we can hear you. So I would love to talk a little bit with you about how students can audition for CYSO or for other ensembles that they might be interested in. So can we talk a little bit about how do you join CYSO?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to say thank you for having us here, Peoples. I know that we've done some stuff in the past together, and it's always a joy to work. And then to see so many families on this call, that's so exciting, kids of all ages. So yeah, joining CYSO. So it is an audition process that you go through for any of the ensembles that you'd like to be at. And there's different levels for every ensemble. And that is what you would prepare with your private lesson teacher and or find out the information through CYSO as well. But every ensemble has a kind of prerequisite of repertoire and or certain excerpts and certain prior knowledge that you should have. Just like we mentioned with steel, you really don't have to know have to have any kind of musical training to be able to audition. With our orchestras, there is some level of training that you need to come in with your auditions.
I'm so glad you mentioned private lesson teachers, because all of the private lesson teachers are the reason that we have so many great students in CYSO. I know Mr. David has a couple of his private students who are in CYSO too. And it's, if you have a private teacher through TPMS, they can really help you prepare for any audition.
Yes, it really, that collaboration between the student and the private lesson teachers is really what kind of makes this possible, and just, you know, for your audition to be successful. So make sure you talk to your private lesson teachers. What makes a good audition? Well, a good audition, first of all, is showing us the best things that you could do at that given moment. You know, showing us good position, showing us good notes, good sound, good rhythm with whatever music that you are bringing in. That's what's going to make, what do you want to impress the judges with what you know and how to do, and your enthusiasm through your playing, your love of music through your playing, and showing us all your musicianship skills. And again, that is, you know, rhythm, good intonation, good posture, and so forth. So also a good audition is a good balance in your pieces and making sure that you do come prepared, knowing your pieces and knowing exactly what the requirement is. That's always a good impression as well, being really prepared with that in your audition. And yeah, just having good energy, whether it's through a video or if it's through in person. Like Yeimi said that it is nerve-wracking. Yes, in person could be a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think some of the stuff we've gone into virtual, and that's kind of, you know, kind of eased a lot of nerves for a lot of students who are auditioning. But at the same time, you know, it's a different process a little bit making that recording. So so yeah, thinking about all those things and what you really want to show the judges with what you know how to do. So we have some tips here. being that right now we are going to do all of our auditions virtually, and for any ensemble that you might be auditioning in the future, I believe probably will be done through video. So things to think about when you are creating your video. You want to find a space in your home and or at school or wherever it is that you can find a space that is quiet and that allows you to be engaged and for you to be the focal point in your video. You of course want to have a music stand or make sure that your music is propped up so we don't catch the top of your head. So, and again, showing us good posture, whether you are behind a snare drum or holding a trumpet or sitting with a cello. So making sure that we can see you. Music you plan to record. Of course, you always want to make sure that you plan in advance. Probably the week before wouldn't be the wisest thing to do for your recording, or something that you just started learning. We'd probably advise that you pick a piece that you feel really, really, really confident about when you are choosing your music that you are going to record. A video recording device, that would be a computer, your phone, something to capture your video, and something that would capture your sound. Always go back and review your videos, making sure that we could see you clearly. I think light is a thing too, like making sure that we just don't see your silhouette. Standing sometimes in front of a window causes that, but making sure that we could see you and we can hear you in your video as well, and showing us your instrument. Again, posture, position, all of those things are really, really important. I see the picture there. Those are good shots. It doesn't have to be a close-up either, but you also don't want to be too far away from the video. How many of you have pets? I have a pet too. Sometimes our pets love to be part of those moments. Probably we want to put our pet, in a different space for that moment so that it's not a distraction to you and your video. Maybe picking up your room might be a good idea, making your bed. One thing that might mention is like, what do you wear for your audition? Because usually when you come to your audition in person, people do tend to dress up. If you'd like to dress up for the video, that's fantastic. But I would think that you'd want to wear something that is comfortable, but not like, your PJs or something that you would go, sledding in. For string players, you want to think about maybe no bulkiness so that you can hold your instrument correctly. Anything that's not inhibiting you from not playing well. That we talked about, do not record in front of the window because then we get your silhouette. And again, these are for any kind of audition that you're taking, not only CYSO. So I think it's something really good for you to think about. Maybe your private lesson teacher asks you to make videos of yourself to like give you feedback. So it's something to think about. Like I have right now my computer propped on a box so that I could, you don't like see below my face. So like you see the picture here, propping up your phone or your computer onto different books and stuff so that you get a great level. And again, you don't want to be too close to the camera and you don't want to be so far away that we can't figure out, what you look like or how you sound. Using the front facing, and of course not taking a selfie, although we all love, who doesn't love to take a selfie every now and then. We making sure that your camera's on landscape, which is how you see that picture there, which is this way, right? Of course, we want to see your whole body. And that's really important too, like for cellists, a lot of percussionists, we want to be able to see, your whole body shot, pianists as well, and so forth. So yeah, I hope these are helpful to you. And and good luck with prepping, as we get into that season of prepping auditions, and thank your private teachers because they want you to succeed as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Valdez. That's great. Yeah, so as Ms. Valdez said, I hope that's helpful for you, whether you're choosing to maybe consider auditioning at CYSO, which we'll talk about a little bit more in just a second, or if you're recording your juries, or if your private lesson teacher or your school teacher has asked you to record something. Those device tips and the camera tips and all that stuff is going to be really good for no matter what you're recording. So if you've watched our whole presentation and you're thinking, you know what, I might like to audition for CYSO, I've got just a couple of quick bits of information for you there. If you would like to audition, the audition due date is April 1st, except if you're a percussion instrument or steel pan. That will be a little bit later. But for all of the orchestra instruments, your audition would be due on April 1st. So you've got a couple months to consider and prepare. It'll be a video audition, and it would be about 5 to 8 minutes of music. So you would play about 2 minutes of 2 different contrasting pieces. If you are in prep strings, like that video, first one we watched, that was just 2 different contrasting pieces. Same with debut orchestra. If you're a trumpet player or an oboe player, just 2 to 3 minutes of 2 contrasting pieces. So one that's kind of slow and one that's kind of fast, or one that's very smooth and lyrical and one that's more march-like or staccato. And if you want to audition for the top orchestra like Jonathan's in, then there's some excerpts for that. But that's okay. Do we have, I think, Mr. David, do we have some time to watch a successful audition video?
Sure thing.
Sure thing. All right. So you guys see Leslie here. This is Leslie's video from last year that led to her being accepted to prep strings. So this is, I'm just going to play some little clips of this, but this is what a successful audition video looks like. You'll see, we can see her whole body. The landscape, the camera's in landscape, so we've got a nice wide view. She's got her music all there. She's got the camera about 8 feet away from her. So she got her device set up all well. And then here's what it sounds like.
My name is Rivera. I am in 4th grade. I will be playing Sonata and Sing.
So here's her more technical piece. Nothing too fancy. She's just showing off her skills where she is right now. You don't have to have fireworks. You have to be consistent. Let's listen to another little bit. Here's something that's a little bit faster. Lots of scales going on. Nice, and there's the very end. Okay, so I didn't want to play too much of that, but as you can see, you don't need to have the perfect audition video. This was very good, but what was best about it was that Leslie was showing off where her skills were at that time. You don't have to be amazing to get into CYSO. You just have to be a good student. We are looking for students who are at a certain level on their instruments, but mostly who love learning and who are going to learn along with the ensemble. So just a little bit more audition information. If you want to learn more, you can go to cyso.org. You're going to look for this auditions tab and then choose what you're interested in auditioning for, either orchestra or steel pan. And